What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Red Stock. This is your Sunday social, and Man United's pre-season tour is officially over. Man City next up in the Community Shield. How do we feel overall about the tour in itself, the individual games, why we need help? That's the main kind of cry out from us on today's show. And me and the lads are going to kind of break down all everything that I've just discussed, including future transfers, etc., and who we need to bring in and what the concerns are, and everything molded into one on this Sunday social. So before we dive into that, Shreyas, how we doing, mate?
Yeah, doing fairly well. It's been a while I've been on a Sunday social. So,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty excited to be on. Pretty excited that preseason is finally over. So, the Prem is just a few days away now.
Yes.
I've been waiting for it a long time for the
Oh, I
season to
can't wait.
kickstart. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just glad that, it's nearing and nearing.
Yeah. The match was on quite late last night, wasn't it, Sam? I don't know if you had a
Yeah.
chance to, if you watched it last night, or did you wait until this morning to watch it?
I had a long day, as you know, with stuff I've got going on outside. So I came back and my mate very kindly took me for a pint. So I went with him and I came home and just went to sleep. So I watched it this morning, just before SummerSlam.
Yeah. And the manager after the game probably put it how we would how positive a bit, but the way we concede goals, we are not happy with it. Now that's obviously it's a very he doesn't dive into detail about that. It's kind of very plain in it, and it's like, yeah, weren't happy about this, weren't happy about that. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna break everything down. So what I wanted to start with is United's front three. So obviously Rasmus Højlund is injured and he's out for 6 weeks, which is a setback for us, for anyone at the start of the season. So I'm guessing Jadon Sancho's likely to replace him as that kind of false nine. Maybe someone else can drop in there. Maybe it might be Bruno. But as it looks like it's going to do that. Ahmad is undroppable, in my opinion, and Rashford's been in really, really good form. So ahead of this City game, is he enough confidence in that front line? Is he enough goals, Shreyas?
I haven't seen enough goals in this front line for quite some time now, pretty much. Hoyland being out is definitely a big setback because he was looking
Sure.
quite good. He was looking quite healthy as well. During this preseason, he looked quite charged. So him not being there is definitely a setback. Uh, has been fantastic throughout the course of this preseason. So he is definitely going to be starting. On that left hand side, maybe it's Jadon Sancho, maybe it is Garnacho, uh, maybe he sticks Mason Mount out there, bring a little bit of change of pace in that left wing position. But I think maybe he can put in Zirkzee in the striker position as well. We still don't know how he's going to be used. If he's going to be used straight up into that Man City Community Shield game, so he does have options to actually play with. He might even go with Bruno as false nine once again in City. It worked quite well the last time. Maybe he goes with that sort of a setup once more. So Ten Hag does have options, but the only thing is moving into the Premier League season as a long-term front three. I do think that he needs to stick with Ahmad. He needs to stick with Garnacho at least for the time being, and Hoyland and Zirkzee can be rotated well because these Hoyland does pick up a lot of knocks. He does pick up a lot of injuries. So I think both of them can actually get some decent game time throughout the course of the season. But for now, when you talk about just wingers, Ahmad and Garnacho should be starting because they've earned their spots. If Rashford and Sancho can fight back for their positions, well and good enough. But for the time being, these guys deserve to be starting.
That's interesting, Sam, because I think Marcus Rashford has looked very sharp and he's looked good in pre-season. Can we go as far to say it looks like he's going to have a good season, or is this just pre-season vibes and he might drop off?
Again, people on the internet will panic and they'll go mental. It's like, we lost 3-0. It's preseason, man. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So while there's been positive signs, like you said, Rashford looked sharp. I thought he was okay in the Liverpool game. I didn't think he was great by any means. I thought he was all right. I thought other players stood out to me. But if he can continue that and get his head right and can continue on into the season, then fantastic. We've got a good left winger to sort of roll with into the season. But yeah, I think we just need to sort of relax. And it's like, yeah, Ahmad's been really, really good. But again, it's preseason. It doesn't mean anything yet. Right, when the games matter and when the big games come, and if he performs, that's when it matters. And we saw little bits of it last season from Ahmad, which I'm glad He got opportunities. He definitely should have got more, and hopefully he pushes on. He uses that momentum into the season, and he gets his opportunities and he takes them. Same with Rashford. He needs to prove himself this season. And while he's been all right in the low pressure, nothing on the line in preseason, he needs now to perform. I know City is a glorified friendly, like it is. Like, let's just accept it. People, even if we get beat by City, this is not the end of the world because it's a glorified friendly. People still not up to scratch, not up to speed yet. If we lose against Fulham badly, then start to worry.
It's happened before.
Yeah, start to worry then. But I think going into the thing, I think I'm still calm and I'm still not getting overexcited about anything, but I'm not getting absolutely devastated by the fact that we lost 3-0 either, because I'm sure we'll get into the game of like what happened and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not either way. I'm trying to stay as calm as possible.
Well, a question I've got for the chat for everyone who's watching right now, and a question for Shreyas as well, is if you was the manager right now, is Joshua Zirkzee ready to start at Wembley, or is it too soon to chuck him into the deep end, do you think?
I think he is ready to start. To be perfectly honest, I think he played in the Euros as well for Netherlands, so he has been playing throughout this break. He's been training he's been training at Carrington, and thinking by the time that game actually rolls in, he would be a bit well integrated with the team, as well as how he needs to be playing in this team, what his role as a striker is in this team, how he needs to be playing around wingers like Rashford, Garnacho, and Ahmad, how he needs to be linking up play, when he has to drop deep, and when he has to be his position, where his positioning needs to be during those attacking transitions. So I think he should be. If we don't have Hoyland, I think he should be starting, because once again, I would say if he has a decent outing against City, it will do massive wonders for his confidence going into the season, because we won't be having Hoyland. I don't think, at least for the first 3 games of the season. Even if he comes back, I doubt that Ten Hag would straight away put him into the team. I think he'll be very careful with the amount of minutes he gets, and with his recovery as well. So I think he should be starting, and if it goes well, then perhaps you've got a very high confidence striker going to the first 3 games of the season, and maybe even we might be seeing him starting against Fulham.
Interesting. I thought, going away from individuals, Sam, and again, touch on Zirkzee if you want to, the front 4-5, whatever you want to call it, this kind of hexagon shape that we had going on, the press was really, really good last night. I thought it was improvement in kind of defensive collective flair, not defending transitions. I think we're fucking awful at that. But I think there's an evidence you see in a certain pattern and a certain way that Ten Hag wants to play. And I think the coaches have also had an influence on that as well. What did you make of the kind of directional approach, the way we pressed, the way we moved the ball at times? Was you impressed?
Yeah, there was a couple of patterns of play that I really enjoyed. There was a thing with a build-up involved like Rashford, Ahmad, Collier, and somebody else. But then the last pass was a fucking terrible ball over the top into the edge of the box, and I just thought ruined it, which annoyed me. But it's pre-season. This is where you need to make these things, and if you make a mistake, then you're like, okay, we need to work on that. You got to think as well. Like, Ten Hag has essentially got an entire new coaching setup behind him. Nobody is left from last season. Benny McCarthy's gone. Steve McLaren has gone. Mitchell van der Gaag has gone. He's got a whole entire new structure behind him. Dan Ashworth only started a couple of weeks ago. Jason Wilcox didn't come into the end of the season. Omar Barada started like a couple of weeks ago. So he's got an entire new thing behind him and in front of him and around him. Plus the new players that have come in, plus new players that might be coming in. Everything is brand new. So things are going to take time to click, to get together, to sing. We've still not shifted after the deadwood that we need to shift. Like, we're still not shifted after the players that need to go, and we probably won't this summer just because of the wages and how FFP and PSR, is it PSR? Yeah. Is affecting things, because we've seen not many clubs are moving for anybody at the minute, which is it's been affected in the thing. So I think we need to give this time, and we need to be patient with this new structure. I know everybody on Twitter is just going to be like, if we lose to City, he's going to be like, get Ten Hag out. We're already getting comments today on old videos we've done saying, I can't believe you backed a manager, you shit, bro. And it's just like, mate, understand something beyond your little FIFA world. Like, things don't operate like FIFA. You can't just go get that player and pay whatever. You can't just go, you have to sell to buy, and all these different factors you have to take on board. So I think the structure will come, and the stuff on the pitch I've seen there's promising signs and little things where I've been like, okay, I like that. There's been a new style, and I think we can get behind it. And I think if we could push into that, we will click. The thing we have to iron out, the thing I didn't like in the game, 2 of Liverpool's goals came from stupid mistakes from players. That needs to be ironed
And
out.
what happened last season in pre-season? Mistakes.
Yeah,
and then mistakes carried through into
Exactly.
the season.
So, like, Casemiro, why is he rushing out to that? What is he doing? I don't understand why he would do that. He's an experienced player, man. This guy's won Champions Leagues and he knows what he's doing. He shouldn't be doing that. Like, if a young player did this, I get onto Collier. But if a young player did that, you'd be all right, he's young, not experienced. It's an experienced player, man. I don't understand what he's doing. He's like, he ran out and he got turned like he was a child. Like, he just
But he's been doing this for
that's
ages.
what I mean. And like people saying it's a system, and it's like no, this is stuff like this where he's doing 240 tackles and stuff like this. This is what's costing us. He's making stupid decisions. He's just making silly decisions, and it's like he made some really good forward passing and some good line breaking things, but he can't play that 6. He can't.
No.
If he's gonna play, you got to play in the 8 or the 10. He's got to play more further and no defensive responsibility because you saw what happens when he's given it, and I just think it's terrible. And then Collier made that mistake on the right-hand side, didn't he? He didn't press him high enough, and the guy, is it Carvalho or Salah, got past him?
Carvalho.
Yeah, got past him. And it's just like, that's a young player. Like, I expect that for young players. That's fine. Like, I can get, and I can forgive that a little bit more. But the Casemiro one was terrible. And yeah, that worries me. Like, that makes me go, we need to go and get Awate. We need to go get somebody to play that 6 role because Casemiro can't do it.
Reckless and wild for me. Way too reckless and wild. Like I said, shocking defending transitions when Liverpool... Because all Arne Slot basically did, what I thought was just ollie ball. Just basically sat deep and then they just, when there was space, they just long ball, broke into it, and then they hurt us and damaged.
And
if it's that simple...
The third goal
was
the only one with a pattern, wasn't it? The third goal they scored, that had a nice little build-up. Everything else was mistakes from us. I'll see you.
Yeah. So, you're building your own fucking shit house there. In terms of, are you happy with the attacking play, Shreyas? Can you see more of an identity? Do you think the coaches are starting to show a bit of their own imprint now on that side of it?
I do think things look a bit better than how they did last season. I think the attackers are still a bit hesitant. They still panic a bit when they are, in those areas and in those moments. I still think that, certain attackers do panic a bit. From my angle, I at least see progress. I do think that there have been improvements. I do think that positionally things look a bit better. I think off the ball, at least the attackers, they are very, very when it comes to the pressing, they are very well rounded. They are much more coordinated, and that's why throughout the course of the preseason, we've seen the pressing actually working quite a bit more than it did last season. Because last season, even when we pressed, it just looked like the opposition team is just waiting for one player to be actually be out of position and just play that ball in, and then Casemiro and the others are just left exposed. It does look a lot better now. But still, there still needs to be certain consistency in it, and I still think that it is still a long road till we get to that point where you got those attackers who just know in that split second what to do, whether to go for a goal, whether to wait for that final pass, or whether to find the striker, or just to play the ball deep and maintain possession. I think it's going to take some time, but it still looks like a positive approach.
There was these. I'll give you my opinion on this. These are the big standout things I thought that worried me. So the back four, when I first started the game with Liverpool, I'm looking at them like fucking Evans and Lindelof at the back. I'm like, you got precautionary with Harry Maguire. Obviously, Leach has only just come back to training. Yoro's injured. I can't even think of any other fucking centre backs that we've got. But you're looking at it and you're like, you definitely need reinforcements in there because we look way too vulnerable at the back, and this is against pre-season.
Playing that high of a line, especially while playing that.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when we've spoken about it, Casemiro, his limitations as midfield cover just cannot go into a season with him. You need an Awate in there to cover the ground, because if you're going to be risky and you're going to press forward, and you're going to try and be proactive, you can't have a fucking slug doing it. A
guy who's just going to dive into shit. Like, it's just stupid.
That is a major red flag. And also, I'm starting to come around to the idea of why we are signing Mazraoui, because Wan-Bissaka in the final third, when we're in an important position, I'm like, it does hinder us a little bit. And also, I think risking him as well was very fucking stupid when West Ham are bidding for him, playing him in the game.
Who else is there? Who do we play? We
Yeah, it's
haven't
true.
got anyone.
It's true. I mean, I suppose you could, if you wanted to go with the youngster there, like an Ogini or something like that, then you could have done. But I understand it's, I get it to a certain point, but it's like, it is a little bit risky, especially when, did he pick up an injury as well?
There was
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
no.
a knock or something.
Yeah. Yeah, is for you, Sam, that back four, is that the biggest concern? I know Casemiro's up there, but who's going to start as the back four in the next couple of games?
Yeah, obviously, like you got to remember as well, like how many in that team will start in the season? 2, 3?
Well, based off last season, I don't know.
Ahmad, Rashford, maybe Casemiro, but again, I don't want him to. Everybody else, I don't think starts for us, do you? Because obviously, Wan-Bissaka's on his way out the door. Evans and Lindelof are not going to start. Harry Amas, I like him. Probably not going to start, but I like him a lot. Collier's not going to start. Sancho's probably not going to start. And then who's the other midfielders that we had around Casemiro? Collier and Mason Mount. Did he start?
Yeah.
So he's probably not going to start either. So that's like 2-3 people who are going to start. It'd be in your strongest 11 because we have got no Leacher. There's no Dallo there. There's no Luke Shaw. There's no Kobbie Mainoo. There's no Bruno. There's no Zirkzee. None of like so. I think no Garnacho. Like so, there's no one there where you're like. And I think if we don't get in Delict, Yoro probably starts as well. So that's another guy who's missing. So you're thinking that's not our strongest team. So I think squad depth, you are right. But again, you look at that team, it's like that's not our starting 11 for the season if everybody's fit. So the evidence there is squad depth. That's what we're lacking. Because as soon as we've lost 3-4 players, as soon as we lose 3 or 4 players, we're fucked. We've got slower players in the defense. They can't play the high line. The midfielders aren't doing the jobs and stuff. So I think, squad depth is needed. And if it was up to me, I'd go out and get Delict. Obviously, Matt Suarez looks like it's probably going to happen because Wan-Bissaka's going the other way. I'd get 2 midfielders, but I don't think we're going to do it.
Yeah,
I only think we get 1. But I would love to see us, like, if Scott McTominay goes, obviously it's all profit, and we can loan Owate, and then we use that Scott McTominay money to go get Amrabat or get Rabiot or get Zubimendi or Fofana, whoever you want. Use that money to go get one of those and get 2 midfielders because I think that reinforces us a lot more going forward. I think get Delict in, Matt Suarez, and then 2 midfielders, I'd feel a lot more confident. But if we only get 1 midfielder in, I think we're 1-2 injuries away from disaster in the season. Because I think if you lose the Owate and you don't get another person like a Zubimendi or an Amrabat or somebody else who can play that position, you're then back to Casemiro. And we've seen what happens, and I don't trust him at all.
I would rather play Mason Mount in that 6th, and I'm being deadly serious, by the way, in that 6th and Casemiro, because I think he's so far done. I would honestly I'd put Collier there, even though he's not even ready. I'd purchase Amrabat just so we don't have to fucking start Casemiro in games. That's how far removed he is from this team for me. I think he's completely done. I've said it for fucking so long. I'm worried. I know you're saying it's pre-season, Sam, and not to panic and blah blah blah. Me personally, I think we are going to concede a lot of fucking goals. I mentioned it in the chat. It's similar to like how when Liverpool, before they got Alisson and Van Dijk, they would score a lot. I think we're going to score quite a few goals, but I also think we're going to concede a lot of fucking goals because we are way too vulnerable on them transitions, and defensively we don't look no way near good enough. Maybe when the players come back in, might look a bit sweeter. We bring in a few more signings. I'll accept defeat and be like, that's fine. But right now, I am absolutely worried about the start of the season. So not good, especially with the injuries as well. I'm just going to go to the comments and then we'll get your reaction on them, Shreyas. McMillan, Ineos stated it's a 3 to 5 year project. And new flogging Deadwood would be hard, as well as getting players like Rabiot or Amrabat's teams and Murta and Co type reactive signings. Ineos aren't in a panic. UTFR says if we get pumped 3-0 by City next Saturday, then I'll start to worry. I thought first 30 minutes we did okay, says Dan, after we scored, but Evans and Lindelof slow, worried there, still thought Amas was class again, and Collier was good. Sancho wasn't great. So many comments, just trying to get through them. The trauma of the Glazers has brainwashed fans so badly that when something isn't going perfectly, they get so panicky. We need to think beyond what we see at surface level now with Ineos.
Can I just say on that as well? Like, people are going, oh, Ten Hag's had 2 years, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he has, but he had it under a fucking crumbling structure. Like, the structure was falling apart around him and he's barely functioning. This is his first summer under a proper structure and his first season under a proper structure. So people are saying, oh, like, Slot's put his thing on, his imprint on thing. Postecoglou has, whoever Arteta does, but they were working under like positive structures and structures that were operating well and operate seamlessly, which is what we've now got. But this is Ten Hag's
Even they
first.
took time.
Yeah.
Even they took time.
So we're starting again. If you think about it, we're starting again because he's got proper structure underneath him. So I don't think you can judge him on the previous 2 seasons because he had fucking John Murta and Richard Arnold running about Barcelona, failing to put deals together. So I think that's what you need to be looking at and sort of be patient with. I think people need to sort of realize where we're at in this situation.
Tony Sabevsky says, settle down, everyone, crying out loud. It's pre-season, so what? We lost to Liverpool. We've got the Charity Shield next weekend. The manager would have been focusing on that game. I once had a nightmare. Obi Martin signed for Chelsea, says the Sniperman. Well, that is, yeah. Okay. Z says that was the fakest 3-0 scoreline I've ever seen. How can a team get dominated so much but still end up winning 3-0? Because they took the chances.
Mistakes as well.
Yeah.
2 mistakes.
Because they took the chances. Was it a flattering scoreline in your opinion, Shreyas?
You could say so, but once again, we've seen this happen a lot of times last season to us as well. We've seen games where we started quite bright. We've seen games where for the first half, pretty much, we've completely dominated the game. But because certain chances don't go our way, because certain decisions don't go our way, the opposition team just capitalizes on it. And then we might end up dominating the entire 90 minutes. But I've seen so many 1-0, 2-0, or even, going up by 2 goals, then certain decisions don't go, to our favor. And then I've seen us losing 3-2 as well. So this kind of stuff always happens. And especially at United, even under Ten Hag's tenure, it's happened on a lot of occasions. The only thing is I don't want it to continue into next season. I don't want it to be a situation where, we're repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. And once again, we're targeting the same players that this happened because of this. We need to move away from it. And we need to genuinely be having certain kind of progress in, because other teams are definitely going to be coming in for us as well. Because this, I would once again say, this next season is going to be even tougher for us. You've got City, you've got Arsenal, you've also got clubs like West Ham making actually really, really good moves. You've got Liverpool again. Villa is definitely there as well. Newcastle are going to be going for it again as well. So there's going to be a lot of competition. And if we're once again going to be having the same mistakes again, like having midfield cutbacks, starting games off quite well for the first 20 minutes, and then suddenly the entire thing falls apart, and then we are just trailing 1-0 till the end of the season. So I just don't want it to happen again.
Yeah, I don't know, lads. I think I'm in the minority with this one, because I'm actually genuinely concerned about the start of the season. I think August is going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be a bit of a rough ride. Maybe when a couple of players come back and we sign some, I might be a bit more positive. But apart from the pressing and a couple of individual performances, the youngsters like Collier and Amas have been impressive. It's not really stood out.
It's not been something where you would go say, this is absolutely show-stopping. This is something that, if this happens in next season, things will just start rolling again. It's been kind of slow at times. Certain individuals definitely, they've shown up quite well. But as a whole team, there are a couple of elements I like. But mostly there is stuff from last season that I can see in this team all over again. And I think the even bigger concerning part is it's only preseason and we've lost like 2 to 3 players to injury already.
I think sorry, Nick.
No, please go.
I think what concerns me the most is we've failed to get out so many players who are clearly not good enough for this club anymore. And that's a legacy left over from the Glazers, like these high wage demands, and we just can't shift players on. And it doesn't help as well that teams are coming in and just basically offering us pennies for fucking players. Like the less said about the fucking not Fenerbahce, the Galatasaray bid for Scott McTominay. Even Fulham Fulham paid 35 million for Emile Smith Rowe, and they want to pay 17 million for Scott McTominay. Like, you're taking the piss, lads. So struggling to get these players out. Casemiro, Sancho, Lindelof, McTominay. I'd say Sancho's in that bracket as well, to be honest with you. because he's on high wage, and I just don't think he's
Yeah.
United quality. You've got all these players, and they're probably still going to be here. Like when the transfer window ends in September, and the failure to get them out is going to drag us down because we need squad depth desperately, but we can't go out and spend until we get rid of these players and we're just stuck in this thing. So until those players go, I think we're going to be in a difficult position and we're going to be struggling to sort of implement what we want to do. And I think that's the biggest thing holding us back right now. We can bring in quality players like Yoro, can bring in quality like Zirkzee and stuff, but until we get rid of those players who are just going to hold us back and we ain't good enough, I think we're going to struggle. And that's the part that worries me. That's the part that worries me in a minute.
Are you confident, Shreyas, when Bruno, Mainu, Martinez, Zirkzee, Dalot, Shaw, Garnacho all come back into that team? Are you confident we will be, one, a lot more solid defensively, two, start scoring more goals, and three, look better as a team?
I think we will score more goals when these guys come in. I think attacking-wise, things will look much brighter. Defensively, I'm still not quite sold because, once again, Euro is not going to be there for the start of the season. I don't know what the situation is with Malacia. I don't know how long Luke Shaw and Martinez can actually stay fit when it comes to, playing week in and week out, especially with the Europa League happening as well. And as a team, I think we can only judge this team once we are 3 or 4 games at least into the season. Because from the looks of it now, I want to see how this team will actually operate when you've got players like Luke Shaw and Martinez actually in that back line. Because even last season, when those two guys actually came in, things did look a lot better. We looked quite more sound when we played out from the back. We looked quite sound when we were, making our movements off the ball. Defensive transitions wise, we actually looked quite decent when Martinez wasn't present in that back line. The moment you take that one player out, it actually completely falls apart. So I want to see whether, if Martinez is not present and if Luke Shaw is not present in that backline, can this team work or not?
Yeah, agreed.
That's the thing that we really need to look into.
What's your expectations now, Sam, for the City game? Because I would say I'm feeling more negative towards that than I am positive. I don't know about you.
I don't expect us to win the City game, if I'm honest.
No.
But I again, it's a glorified friendly. Anybody says otherwise, they're fooling themselves. Like
only if we lose, it's a glorified friendly.
No, even if we win, like I remember David Moyes won it his first season in charge, and people were like, yeah, Moyes, he's gonna get us going, and then you saw how that ended. Like it didn't end well. So I know Jose counts it weirdly, but that's Jose for you. Yeah, for me, it's just another preseason game. The thing, obviously, it's against City, and you want to win it always. But it doesn't worry me. If we go into the season, like, who's the first 3 games? Fulham, Brentford, and then...
No, Brighton. We've got Brighton, haven't we? I don't know. Let me have a look. Go on. Continue.
Whoever those like first 3 games are, if you see those first 3 games and it's just terrible performance after terrible performance after terrible performance, okay, I'll worry then. But if you see good performances and maybe we don't quite win, or maybe it's a draw or something, but it's a good performance there, I'll feel confident. I'm like, okay, we're building something.
Yeah.
There's something there. But if we go into the season starting how we did last season with similar performances, then I'll be worried. Then I'll be like, okay, we'll think. But the preseason Community Shield, I'm not asked about it either way. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
I suppose the playing devil's advocate, you could say, City have lost all their preseason games, and they're probably not losing the lid. But when they start the season, they're going to be good. So they never look shit, do they? Really, even at the start, like they're just on it straight away. But yeah, it's Fulham, Brighton, Liverpool, Southampton, Palace. That's our first 5 games that we've got. So yeah, I think it's. We'll discuss transfers as like the last bit in a moment in terms of Uarte and De Ligt. But I just want to read out some comments because there's quite a few. People going on about Qatar. I thought Qatar was just completely gone from any.
Not letting that go, are they? Like these Qatari flag shaggers, you just can't let it go. It's just like he would have saved us. He's not even real lads. He's AI generated.
Dan Fenton saying yes, I agree. I'm worried that Deadwood is still here. That's the problem. But high wages, that's also a problem too. Agreed. If City can, again, that's just about Sound shit. Yeah, I'm confident we'll be much better once them players come back. Players are breaking down because they've no fat storage to finally tune something goes. There's no reserve strength in them. There's such thing as muscle fat and memory. We have a PT in the chat. It's always nice to know. Morning, guys. Morning, Richards. Clearly just woke up because he said morning, not spelt morning right, and it's afternoon. So
Is he hungover?
yeah, hungover. Lovely to have you, Richard. Lumen saying, is a mini thrashing to Liverpool a worry for you all? It is for me personally, but maybe I'm just being over emotional and reactive to it. Hello, everyone, says Kangan. Any interactive games today? We've not got any planned, but early next week, Monday, Tuesday, we'll do some for you. But yeah, Sunday socials usually like a relaxed kind of chat about what's been going on. But yeah, transfer news, lads. Uarte, Delit, which one's more imminent now, Sam? Do you think, in your opinion?
I think Matt Suarez is probably the one in him, isn't it? That's the one that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
It's Wan-Bissaka. I think Romano said within days you'll probably get here we go. So that seems like it's been done. And as soon as that's done, I think Matt Suarez happens. This Bayern seem to be sticking to this 50 million euros they want for him. And United obviously not wanting to pay that. So it depends on negotiations. He's not gone on pre-season tour. Romano said he doesn't want anybody else. He has no intention to play for Bayern Munich, so it may get messy. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, I know because Bayern need to sell in order to go get Jonathan Tah, and I'm sure they're going after somebody. Was it somebody else they're going after as well? They're trying to buy, because they're trying to force Goretzka out the door, aren't they? They're trying to get rid of him, but he doesn't want to go, so they need to sell. So hopefully, we can come to some sort of negotiation. And I think Uarte depends on Scott McTominay going. So until Scott McTominay goes, or we get the money for Scott McTominay, that's when the Uarte deal happens. I'm hoping we could do something like a loan, and we could get him in anyway, and then we sell Scott McTominay, and then go get a Rabiot, a Zubimendi, an Amrabat, whoever you want to attribute to them. But yeah, I think the Matt Suarez deal happens, and then it's a toss-up between De Ligt and McTominay, depending on negotiations and money and all that sort of stuff. I think one of them two will be next.
What signings would you be happy with now, Shreyas, to go into this new season? Who to come through the door would you be like, right, that's enough now?
I would say De Ligt. I think definitely we need another centre back in, so De Ligt I would be happy with. I would say if we get Ugarte or Zubimendi, even if we get like one of those players in, like one midfielder, one centre back in De Ligt or someone else, even if it's just two players, then I would still say, it's still a decent way that we've gone into this season, because we genuinely need another midfielder in who can slot in for Casemiro. We genuinely need another centre back in as well, because you never know when Lisandro is going to pick up a knock. You never know when Euro will be back and whether he'll be fit to actually start once again start playing games week in and week out just at the get-go. So we do need another centre back. We do need another midfielder, and like Sam mentioned, if Scott McTominay leaves, maybe we can get an Amrabat later into the window. And you never know, maybe this might be one of the seasons where United might be active in the January window as well. Maybe it's a change of pace. But going into it, I would say we genuinely need another midfielder and centre back before, and I would want it to happen before the Fulham game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's what I mean. But then they need time to integrate into the squad. Like players like De Ligt, like Sam mentioned before, not even been in pre-season, so it's going to take a good few weeks to get him to get into the team. Uarte, I'm not sure if he's even come back with PSG yet or not, or if he's still away because of the.
I think is he Uruguayan or is he Argentinian?
Yeah.
So Palistri's still on holiday, so I assume Uarte is still on holiday as well.
So that's what I'm saying. A laggy start. I keep saying this is going to be a very, very laggy start. I think August is going to be a tough month, and maybe it'll start being positive. September onwards, and I'd love to be a fly on the wall in a minute. With Eric Ten Hag and Rene Haak and Ruud van Nistelrooy, what they're all currently thinking, if there is a little bit of panic, or if they're like, nope, we stick to the plan, we can see this progression in these areas, blah, 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 and these players around you. If you get a few more players in, you've had a relatively good window. I'd say if you get Zirkzee, Euro, De Ligt, Uarte, that's not a bad window.
Masraoui as well.
And Masraoui as well, 5 players. Plus the young kid in Chido will be Martin. That's a pretty good window. There's no excuses there for me.
I would like an extra midfield in that. I would like an Amrabat, a Rabiot, or a Zubin. I would like somebody on top of that I think that would make me feel a lot
That'll be
better.
a last day deal. That you
Yeah.
know, I think like
Possibly.
towards the end of August. I
Yeah.
think that's going to happen. So, yeah, some concern, some praise, very mixed feelings at the moment. I suppose we won't really know until we actually kick the season off against Fulham. But the City game, I know it's a Community Shield, whatever, but it's still a derby. Still going to be competitive, much more competitive than pre-season at least. So yeah, the lads are back. Be nice to see the new signings, Zirkzee come in, how he's going to do. But we'll save all next week for that. We're going to have a previews. We're going to do the big season preview as well, and we'll have loads of stuff. So yeah, as always, if you want to get some questions in, like Sam just put in there, for the kind of last couple of minutes, please do. Anything we haven't covered, any transfer topic we haven't discussed, any updates at all, get it in the comments and we'll talk about it for the last couple of minutes. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I can't wait till the season kicks off because Premier League football it's different, doesn't it, lads? Like,
Yeah.
from pre-season, you watch it's always on late. The tempo's always like here and all there. There's always like a big load of subs that come on, and then your interest just fucking drops. You're like,
I just hope the feeling doesn't change after the first game. It's
it could easily.
Yeah,
I think
and we've seen it happen every single year.
I think if 3 or 4 games in, we look like we did in the first 3 or 4 games of the
Yeah.
season gone, then I'll be annoyed and sort of worried. But I think if we can see positive shoots of something, I think I'll be able to ride it out a bit. But I can't watch another season like last season. I can't do it again. Like that killed me. Off that.
Steph saying Eric sounded frustrated with lack of transfer activity in post-match interview. To be honest, I think it's more sales. I think it's getting players out the door.
We can't buy until we sell. That's the issue.
Yeah, and we can't sell because of previous issues that we all know about and we've spoken about in depth. So I think we need sales. I think Lindelof needs to go. I think Wan-Bissaka needs to go to make these kind of a bit of motion in these deals.
Scott McTominay needs to go as well.
Scott McTominay as well as another one because you can afford to sell Scott. I like Scott as a squad player, but you've got depth there. You know, he's one of those who plays as a 10 really, and it crashes into the box. So you've got Mount, you've got Bruno, you're fine there.
It's all profit. It's all profit as well because he's academy. So
yeah, so you need to reinvest that money in a competent six like Duarte. If it was between getting the right back in, would you rather get a centre back in, or would you rather get a centre back?
Centre back.
Easier.
I would. Yeah. If you could sign an extension for Wan-Bissaka for another year and then get another centre back, I'd do that all day, every day.
Yeah. Even if it had to be one choice, I'd just go get a centre back in.
Yeah.
I don't want us to see Evans, Maguire, or Lindelof as a partnership. No. I just don't want to.
That'll happen at one point during the season. I guarantee it'll happen at one point. I just hope it's in like a cup game rather than a game against City or Liverpool.
I just hope it doesn't ever happens.
If we're playing Azerbaijan FC in the Europa League or something,
it's fine.
Playing then, that's fine. I just don't. I don't want us to line up against Liverpool or City or someone, and it's Maguire, Lindelof, and Evans. Oh, fucking Christ, it's gonna be horrible.
I don't know if this is a swear word or anything. Right? I've read the English translation of the Merabata. What's that?
What?
It says Shreyas. I've read the English translation of the Merabata.
I don't know.
You don't? Okay.
No.
Yeah. That Fulham game is going to be huge, says Stephanie Griffith.
Yeah.
Flex Felix says, am I the only one who thinks we really need another striker? Zirkzee was just a replacement for Martial, and Rashford can't be a striker. What do we think, lads?
I think we've got options.
I think
you got Zirkzee, you got Højlund. Obviously, Højlund's out for 6 weeks, but he'll be back. We could play in the false nines. We saw that last season with Bruno. Ten Hag talks about Sancho playing there. I don't like that, but it is what it is.
Ahmad could slot in quite well in that position as well and do bits.
I think we've got options in those areas where we can tweak stuff and move stuff around. So I don't think we necessarily... Don't get me wrong. If we suddenly found a bunch of money down the back of the couch and PSR things were a thing and we went and bought Ivan Toney, I ain't going to be against it. I'll be fucking well happy. I just don't think it's a priority. Much like when we were going after Elise, I was like, and people were annoyed we didn't get him. It's just like, it's not a priority. I don't think we need that. We need midfielders. That's what centre back and midfielders. That's what we need right now. We need that so badly.
I think your wingers need to. I think everyone as a collective in the front line needs to be scoring goals. Because I take your point about the striker, whoever it was, Flex Felix. Sorry. Yeah. I take your point about strikers. I think, you know what, maybe you could do a few extra goals. But if Rashford brings that form back, if Garnacho increases his levels, if Ahmad looks like he's going to score quite a few as well, Bruno's always going to chip in. So if you have everyone as a collective doing it, it's not too bad. But if the wingers are struggling, and then you've got Zirkzee in there who doesn't. He's not prolific goal scorer. He more helps out the wingers alongside him. That's when you're going to get a bit like,
That's
yeah,
the issue we had last season. It was like all our goals were basically hanging on Højlund because we had nobody else who was doing anything. Like nobody else was scoring.
And we didn't even get the ball to him.
No, exactly. So
We
it's
didn't
just
even get
like
the ball to him.
we've now got Zirkzee who gives you a different option, and you've got Ahmad who's hopefully going to get starting points. Sancho's back in the team, and Rashford has got to step up. Garnacho's got to step up. You've got to hope those other players contribute. Like if you look at most teams, City aside, there's not one prolific striker who's getting a majority of the goals. It's a combination of everybody. Different players are scoring goals. Like in Liverpool, Salah scores, Diaz scores, Gakpo scores. Like different players score. City, obviously, Haaland's a little different. Chelsea, there's all different players who score. Spurs, there's all different players who score. So I think that's how United need to look at it. Every player needs to contribute. You can't just be like, we've got one lone number 9 who's going to get 30 goals, and then everybody else doesn't have to score any. Like it just doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah, because you could argue that with Arsenal, innit? They ain't got a prolific goal scorer, but they've got Saka, they've got Ødegaard, they've got Martinelli who can chip in with goals. So
everybody has to contribute. That's the idea. Everybody has to contribute.
Stretford Gamer, guys, it's a friendly. We played far better than those Scouse Prats. We need to refresh that defence with competent players, and we're cooking. Yeah, the striker is all sorted. Centre back and CDM we need to sort. We need goals too. Richard saying it's not a swear word. The Mahabharata is a Hindu holy book, like the Bible, apparently.
I think he means Mahabharat.
Ah,
that's what he means.
Right. Okay.
Is it not the Bhagavad Gita? Is that not the Hindu?
Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita was.
Oh, mate,
so it's a whole story.
It's Sunday,
and we got a book called the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
My brain is fried. I have no idea what any of this means. Goals bring confidence, as do wins. It seems we miss a big chance and the team deflates like a balloon. That's the mentality issue. Very good point, Steph. Who would, and last question, we'll finish on this. Who would be your ideal centre-back, CDM, centre-mid if we weren't hamstrung by Deadwood and FFP?
Centre-back, I would go Delict. Centre-mid, for me, would have been João Neves. And CDM, I'm leaning more towards Zubimendi.
Okay. Sam?
The midfielders, I'd go Hjumland and I'd go get Zubimendi. I think that gives you 2 different options. He can play in 2 different ways, and Zubimendi can play different roles.
Yeah.
Centre back, struggle, man, because all the good centre backs I don't think would be gettable in any way. I think it's a real struggle. I'd have to have a think about that. Who would you pick?
Yeah. I would go for, if FFP were a thing and we can go buy a player and put a good bid in for him, I'd want Van der Ven at the back, I want Ugarte in the midfield, and I'd want, as an extra, Fofana as your extra centre midfielder, as like an 8 and a 6 who can do a bit of both, bit of a hybrid. That's what I'd go for. Yeah. But yeah, we don't live in an ideal world, unfortunately. No. So yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to leave it at that, guys. It is Sunday. I've got quite a few things to do after this, so I'm going to leave it at that. Please do smash the like on the video for us, subscribe to the channel, and check us out on socials. A massive week next week for United regarding transfers, the City game, of course, big season preview, that we're going to do. So yeah, that's always a fun show. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And me, Sam, and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one. Take care.